I grew up in an artistic family. My mom took art at Wellesley and used to do typically small landscapes and floral arrangements. I would walk through two doors in this double house into another world smelling of linseed oil and turpentine, where my grandmother would be painting beautiful floral arrangements and tea roses that my grandfather cultivated. It was an amazing world filled with antiques and oriental rugs. So I grew up in that environment, and they both taught me something about painting as a child. And I became particularly fascinated with watercolor, because watercolor is really about building off of a white paper plane and letting some of that dimension peek through by not painting over it. And probably the most challenging and difficult aspect of watercolor are water landscapes. So we're standing in front of a bunch of them done in Maine, Upper Saranac, Bear Swamp in Montgomery County, the Vineyard, where the challenge is to get that watery quality, whether it's flat without wind, with mist rolling over it, such as the painting that is out of your view, or is rustled by some light winds to create some chop, where, again, the white paper is shining through without paint on it. So that has then taken me into other dimensions, portraiture and historic paintings, pencil, ink, and pen. And it's really just the play of light on whatever the subject indeed is. In my ink and pen drawings, it's the glinting light coming across the surface of a piece of architecture, affected and modified by perhaps how light passes through foliage before it hits a solid surface. In water, it's how the light ricochets off and is refracted by the conditions of the surface. But light is the fascinating sort of chaseable commodity in a good painting. And to get that with some sense of recognition by the viewer that that's a moment that is worth a snapshot because of the unique conditions of that time is what I like to do. Now, is that Impressionism, which of course is exactly what the Impressionists of France in the 19th century did? It's a version of Impressionism. But it is really capturing a moment in the world of light. Years ago, like 38 years ago, I was up in the valley, driving around, getting acquainted with a lot of the old historic communities, and came on a place called Glen. Glen is a hamlet between Fultonville and Amsterdam, up in high hill country. And it was an agricultural community, both dirt farming and a lot of dairy, but small farms. These two gentlemen are identical twins. It's Chester McClumpha, who is looking dimly at the storm that's brewing, that's going to absolutely kibosh their wheat crop, and Charlie in the background. They are identical in terms of genetics, but Chester has a scowly, mean face, wears reflective sunglasses, drives a Harley Davidson, and Charlie is always laughing and with upturned lines on his face. But they are remarkable survivalists and dirt farmers using old Holland equipment. So this is really a parable, a metaphor of how difficult it is as a small dirt farmer to make a living. And their generation is rapidly disappearing because about 7 years ago, Glen was discovered nationally by the Amish. And in their national paper called the Bulletin, they would blog in the form of letters to tell each other about this magical, very fertile place where there's small dairy farms with old owners ready to sell, beautiful dirt, and a completely unspoiled landscape. So the next generation is the Amish, each family averaging about between 9 and 13 people, mostly children. And the children are the future of this beautiful, now 19th century agrarian district. Most of the farms are gone, the dairy farms. Charlie just had a severe health setback. Chester's still doing it alone. You see him on the horizon, on the high country, doing corn. But they're not going to be in it many more years. Now, when you drive through Glen, you see horse-drawn vehicles, big Percherons and Belgians. You see the fields being cultivated by teams of 6, 7, 8 horses, and the place is immaculate. There are no more junk cars, there are no more trailers. They're beautiful, traditional white clapboard homes, big barns that go up in a day, and it's like Jeffersonian America today. That's the story. I like to do 1 or 2 paintings a year. I consider myself a passionate amateur. Don't do enough of them to commercially sell, but occasionally make giclées for friends and clients who are interested. And we'll probably do it until I can't do anything else.